Hey there everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be talking about AWS CodeDeploy. Now you might think why we'll use AWS CodeDeploy. Now we want to use AWS CodeDeploy to automate the code deployments. Like you have the application codes. Now you want to make sure, suppose more easy example. Suppose you have one application and that is span over many servers like 10, 20 could be n number of servers. Now think about the case. Can you do manually go there and pull changes in every instance and do all the installation? If something failed for some reason, or you may require to roll back the changes, can you go and manually roll back all the changes? Is not possible, right? You need some automations. Now there are some tools available in the market, but let's see what AWS have to offer for us. Now, as per AWS own definition, what is AWS CodeDeploy? AWS CodeDeploy is fully managed deployment service that automates software development to a variety of computing services such as EC2, AWS Fargate, AWS Lambda. So these are the EC2. I think you are already familiar with EC2, Fargate, and Lambda. These are the services you can integrate directly with AWS CodeDeploy, and of course on-premise instances. AWS CodeDeploy make it easier for you to rapidly release new features, help you to avoid downtime during application deployment, which is the most important thing, I guess, and handle the complexity of updating your application. You can use AWS CodeDeploy to automate software deployments, eliminate the need of error-prone manual operations. The service scale to match your deployment needs. But make sure, I just want to make sure that AWS CodeDeploy doesn't provision resources for you. It just deploy the changes. That's what it'll do. Okay, deployment you still have to do yourself. I will show you via the flow diagram in a bit, but let's discuss the features. Yes, automatic deployment, automatic scaling, on-premise deployments, minimize the downtime. I will explain about the Bluegreen deployment while explaining everything else. Deployment health checking, stop and rollbacks, monitoring and control, deployments group. I'll be covering all the topics, so don't worry. Now let's see the pricing part. Now if your existing infrastructure is in AWS, like AWS EC2 or Lambda, AWS CodeDeploy completely free for you. But if it's on premises, you have to pay 0.2 per on premises instance update using AWS CodeDeploy. There is no minimum fees, no upfront commitments. For example, a code deployment is equal to 3 instances. So it's like simple pay-as-you-go model. If your instances are not in AWS, if it's in EC2 or Lambda, it's completely free for you. Okay, let me explain the flow, how it works. So let's say this is your source code. Okay, plus appspec.yml, and this appspec.yml file will contain all the deployment related commands. I will come to greater details later. Okay, and let's say this is AWS CodeDeploy service. CodeDeploy, okay, service. And let's say this is our AWS EC2 instance. Now code deployment will work with EC2 instances, with Lambda, with EC instances, but for this demo, for this entire demo, we'll be thinking that we'll be thinking about only EC2 instances. Okay, in later videos we'll be covering Lambda as well as ECS. Okay, let's say so here we have the EC2 instances. Let's say many instances running, just for example, many such instances running. Okay, and this all EC2 instances which must have installed the CodeDeploy agent. Okay, CodeDeploy agents. This is must. Now let's say this is our code, this is CodeDeploy, this is our EC2 instance, but it must pull the code from somewhere, right? So it may pull the codes from AWS, S3 or GitHub. These are the official option available in the code deploy. Okay. Now how the flow works. Normally you have the source code. You push the source code in the S3 and you create the deployment, like create deployment. But this to work, it has to communicate with the AWS CodeDeploy service, right? So it constantly pulling this agent, this AWS CodeDeploy agent, constantly pulling for some tasks to work. So it's checking some new deployment available. As soon as new deployment available, it see some deployment available, code deploy, say okay, you have a new deployment version. We call it actually revisions. Now if that happens, then EC2 instances where you have the code deploy agents will get instruction to download the source codes plus appspec.yml file from the S3. Since we have pushed it and created the deployment, accordingly this changes will be pushed in the EC2 instances, and then we have set up installation, you can say stages, where the not installation stages, you can say as deployment stages, and we will be coming in the greater details just in few minutes. And after it success or failure, whatever happens, it just let know to the code deploy what is the final, and we can monitor this code deploy from either AWS CLI, SDK, or our own AWS management console. Okay, we can monitor from there what happening. Okay, now you understand the diagram, the workflow. Now let's get our hands dirty. Okay. Now let's get started with some hands-on training. Okay. Now for this demo, I need at least one or few instances, but let's start with one instance and let me show that how to do for one instance. You can go similar way and do the similar deployments. Okay, let's go with the EC2 instances. So let's go to EC2 instances, and I don't have any running instance, so let's launch instance, and I'm going to use a Ubuntu instance, say 18.04. Now this let's say go to configure instance. Here one important step is to give it some role, because you're just installing the AWS code deployment agent that will communicate with the AWS code deploy service. Now but that installation files need to be pulled from the S3. Okay, to do that we have to give the read access to this instance. Now how will do that? If you just create, I show from how to choose the AMI, and then after you create the AMI, you have to come to this place, configure instance. There you will see here a IAM role section. There just create a IAM role. Just click on that. You will be direct to new tab and click on the create role. Then since it's a role for EC2, let's select EC2. Once you do that, there is the next permissions and list you. We will search for S3 read only access. See, S3 read only access. Go to next tags. We don't need any tags. Okay, let's give it AWS EC2 S3 read access. This role. Okay. Create this role, and as soon as the role is done, let's go back to our this instance creation page. Click on this refresh icon, and you will see this one, AWS EC2 S3 read access role. Okay, Now let's get started. Review and launch. With all the defaults will go. Okay, and launch it. We have a existing key pair, but if you need new ones, just select new. I already have one, so I will just go with the existing one. Make sure to store that PAM key in a very safe location. Let's go to the instance, give it few seconds, and then it will go up. And once this come, yeah, it's now running state. So if you click on connect, see there is multiple ways to connect with this EC2 instance. EC2 connect, session manager, SSH client. Let's go with SSH client because this is what I'm most comfortable with. And let's go. Make sure that you make it at permission level to 400. Okay, I've already done it, so I'm not doing it again. Let's get started. Okay, this is the new tab. Let me make it big. Okay. Okay, looks like it big now. Okay, so we have to connect with the EC2 instance. And let's say yes. And within few seconds it will get connected with the EC2 instance. Now it have that access. Now we need to install the agent, and there is the, if you do Google about how to install CodeDeploy agent, and I will give the link in the description also, so go check that out. And first command, we have to update the repository list for the update. Give it few seconds and it will be done. And then we'll install the Ruby. Since it's version 18, so we don't have to mention the version like this. We just it will update, install only the latest version only. Okay, yes. So this code deployment agent needs Ruby to run. Okay, let's see what is the current directory. We are in the home only, so we don't have to run this one. Make sure you have the wget installed. I think it's pre-installed, but let's see. It's already installed. Okay, let's see. Clear the screen. What next? We have to see, this is the part I was talking about. Bucket name, S3 region, identifier, and all that, right? So replace the bucket name with code deploy. It is code deploy. Replace the agent identifier with US West 2. Let's do that. And I have already the commands ready, so I will just run it. We have the install file ready. Let's make it executable. Chmod +X to make it executable. Now run the installation command, and once you run it, it will install the AWS CodeDeploy agent in this particular instance. See, next time onwards you can just create the image. Suppose you are running for multiple, you will be not managing all manually, right? What you will do, you will make an image and or a launch template and then run it, right? I will do that kind of video later, because if I try to do everything in a single video, it will be very big. I don't want to make it very big. That's why. Let's check the status is running or not. If it's not running, you can run the start command. Looks like it's running now. Okay, so let's clear the screen. Okay, so our agent is installed now, and to how to make the deployments. But before that, let me show you the code examples. Again, this code I'm storing in code commit. In later videos, I will show how to automate this, but let's do some bit manual here. Okay, so yeah, look at this file. This is our normal code. It's a simple Node.js application where I'm running like you can see it here. uh, I'm running this simple command code deploy sample one. If you go to the root route, if you check the status route, this I will show you why I'm using that one. So this is our app spec. Now the most important part of code deploy is the appspec.yml file. Why? Because here we have the commands that need to be run during the deployment stages. Now what are the stages? There is multiple stages. I will show you in greater details. But let's look at this appspec.yml file. In appspec.yml, here we have application stop step. It will be executed when when there is an execution happen during the application stop. So it's called hooks. So when that state happens, this script will get executed. Like this is the before install hook. So when before installation, this script will be get executed. See location. There is after install. So after the installation happens. So see there are multiple hooks. I'll just show in a bit second. But let's say after there is a after install event, and that event this this script will be executed. Similarly for application start. Now what are the script? For application stop, I'm not doing anything because there is a negative point. I will say because this application stop is actually using the script on the previous deployment, and if something goes wrong with the previous deployment, your current deployment will be problematic. There are options to avoid this, but why take risks, right? So instead of that, you can run this command before installation command, what I did, and that actually saves a lot of time, to be honest. Okay, so let's say before install I'm just making that if the file, suppose the first time deployment, then there is nothing to stop, right? So if this first deployment, then don't run it. If the file exists, that means the existing deployment, then run the like stopping the application, deleting the application, and like killing all the running processes. And then we are going to the root the home folder of the Ubuntu and removing the application because our new version is getting ready, right? And then make directory app, so that in this app directory we will pull the application files and reset up it. Okay, so start server. In start server, what we're doing here, we are just starting the server and just making sure that it started fine. Sometime you want to just restart the application for some fetching the new data. We are doing some restart. Yeah. Okay, we can actually remove the command. It's not that we need that, so we can remove the command. Okay, valid service. This is how we are validating. Okay, the APIs are working. I'm checking the status. It's running okay or not. If it's not returning okay, then this deployment will fail. Okay, I think these are the basic commands. Now don't worry about the commands, because these commands change as per your application requirements. So it doesn't need to be necessarily the same commands. It could be something else. So don't worry about the commands. Just know that there is appspec.yml file required where there are hooks. Let me go to greater details. What are the hooks? Okay, so come to this page, appspec hooks. If you come here, that you will see that there are multiple hooks, like before install, after install, after allow test traffic, before allow. And these two are actually, if you have a load balancer, then applied, otherwise not. So run order of the hooks. So what happens? First you start the deployment, then before install command happens. After that install, this is reserved for code deploy. You will not have access to that event. And after install, you have the access to that. After test traffic, you don't have the allow test traffic. You don't have the access to this event. You have access to the next event. After allow test traffic, before allow traffic, allow traffic, and allow after allow traffic. Now, if you are curious about what are the full commands you have, just go this page, go down and down, and you'll come to this. These are the complete list of the hooks. So application stop, download bundle, before install, after install, application start, validation service. Now see, these are according to order. So this is after this only that happens, that kind of way. After application stop, then download bundle, after download bundle, then before installation, after before install, then install, after install, then after application start, then validation service. After that, before traffic, allow traffic. These traffics are if you only have the load balancer included, and I will cover that in next video. Okay. And this is, now there is also, I told you, right, different kind of deployment available. So there is in place deployment, there is blue-green deployment, and there is and think about that only. Okay. And okay, I've already shown you the flow, how it works. Now let's get started with the actual code deployment. Okay, so if you come to the, so you come to the, after you log in, and you will come to this page where you have all the service listing. Then click on the search over the code deploy. Okay, so it's code deploy. Okay, these are my previous testing. So let's go to application. Now we'll create one demo. Okay, so let's say we'll call it code deploy YouTube demo. Let's do it. So code deploy demo Sandeep, let's say, instead of YouTube, let's call it compute platform. We are doing on the EC2. Now ECS and Lambda I will cover later. Okay, on premises, let's create the application. Okay, now application is done. Now to create the targets, we have to clear deployments group, and based on the group we'll target what to actually do the update or actually do the deployments, you can say. So let's create the deployments groups. Okay, so let's give it a deployment group name, say EC2 Instances deployment. Code deployment. Okay, let's call it that way. Service role. Now you need to give code deploy this application to code deploy accesses, like pulling the codes on S3 or auto scaling, all this kind of access, whatever the access this application might require. To do that, you have to go to IAM. Like, let me show you from the beginning, otherwise you might get confused how to do it. So go to IAM and then click on the roles. After that, click on create role. There, go down and search about AWS CodeDeploy. Let's search CodeDeploy and select the normal CodeDeploy, because we are not doing for the ECS or Lambda. It's simple EC2 instances. Next, permissions, and of course default will be selected CodeDeploy. Just go with that only. Review, we don't need to give any tag. Say code deploy service role. Let's do it. Create role. Now let's come to this page again and refresh the page again, and we'll see that role will be available here. Just few seconds. Okay. See, this is the new role we have created. Now there are, I told you, like kind of deployment type. In place deployment, where it's happening in either EC2 instances, or you can say in your on-premise instances, and there in place means in existing deployment group. What is blue green? So what is blue green is like blue green, you have your instances. A replica of that instance will be created in just same environment, and once it's all test gone, all traffic working fine, the DNS level will change the application traffic to new application. Okay, but make sure that suppose both are running, then it will be costly. So if the green is running fine, then just disable the blue part. So let's go by the definition. Replaces the instances in the deployment group with new instances and deploy the latest application revision to them. After instances in the replacement environment are registered with the load balancer, then instances from the original environment are registered can be terminated. Okay. Now in this tutorial, we will be not covering the blue green. in next tutorial we're going to cover the blue-green deployment. Okay, where I will show using the load balancer part. Okay, so let's go with the in place and then click on Amazon EC2. So we're not having any auto scaling group, right? We have EC2 instances. Now for this you will see we need tags. Now let's go back to instances. Let's go to instances. Here let's add some tags here. See this section tags, give it env, let's say development dev, and save it. Now as soon as you're done with that, let's come to code deployment again. I think we have to refresh the page again. That's okay. Okay, this refresh is done. Service role, select the service role. And for this exam, this video tutorial, we are going the in place, which means update the instances in the deployment group with the latest application revision. During a deploy, each instance will be briefly taken offline for its update. Now in this update, of course, you have to distribute how you want to deploy. I will be coming later, but let's think about that only at the moment. Okay, EC2 instance. In the tag section, key, give env, value, give dev. You will see one unique instance matched, and that is this one. Okay, since that is a tag we matched, and you can up to I think 3 tags you can add. Okay, now okay, here agent configuration. See, we did manually, but you can do using the agent configuration with system manager. I mean, you can do the automatic installation of the agent using AWS system manager. I will show in the later video, not in this one. In this I have already shown how to do it manually. So other you can also, when the instance actually launching, that section also you can like automatically on boot you can install all this. I will show in later videos, not issue. And this not updated, this one. Okay, deployment setting, how we want to update the instances. Now suppose you have 10 instances, you can do all 10 at once, or one at a time, or maybe half at a time. But think about the production applications. I think one at a time will be better, because in that way your production application means you have lot of users accessing the services. If all goes down or half goes down, there might be complaints from the customers, right? So let's not do that and do one at a time. But there are ways to customize this even further. See, create deployment configuration. There we can say that deployment configuration, choose a deployment configuration name, say 80% rule. 80% healthy rule. Okay, so that means no matter what, we need 80% healthy, and then that means 20% will get deployed first. See it like this, and as soon as you do that, come here, see 80% healthy rule available. For this demo, let's go with the one by one. I think that will be great to understand, because only we have one instance anyway. Now enable load balancing. We are not using load balancer. Click on the advanced options and you will see triggers, alarms. Suppose for the threshold you want to add some alarms, you can do that. Trigger, suppose regarding the stages, like I will show the trigger later, don't worry. Rollbacks. Rollbacks also I will explain a bit later. Okay, let's call it disable rollback for let's say rollback if the deployment fails, doesn't matter for now. Let's not give any tag for now. Okay, let's get the deployment. Okay, now we have the code deployment application ready with the groups. Now if you click on the create deployment, there you need revision location. See, S3 bucket location, or you can like get. Now this is the we created the application, this one. Then we created the deployment group where the actual deployment will happen there. Then we have to create the actual deployment. What changes need to be pushed in this particular instance, because this instance is now blank, right? So create deployment, that stage. In this stage, you want to like revision location. Either you do it from the GitHub or S3. I will show using S3. Now for this we need a S3 bucket. So let's do that. S3, let's search the S3. Okay. And in S3, let's create a bucket. And let's say the bucket name will be CodeDeploy demo. DevOps with AWS Sandeep. We can call it like this. We don't have, okay, we already have one. So we can go with this one itself since already have one. Okay. Or maybe say let's create one. I think that will be good for example. Let's create a bucket. Sandeep YouTube. Okay, let's block all the access because it's a deployment code, right? Let's create the bucket. Oh, you must enable the versioning because we need the versioning to be enabled for the code deployment. That's why we call revisions, right? Let's create the bucket. See, if you enable it, you can always disable. Suppose this is the bucket you have created. If you go to properties, since if suppose you have existing bucket that you want to use, you can go to edit and you can enable. Suppose in suspend, you can also suspend and enable it. Okay, so let's go. Let's go deploy with YouTube. Let's change the bucket name here. I think bucket and the application name also now different. We will use this command here. So the application name is CodeDeploy demo Sandeep. Okay, looks good. Now AWS, see if you you can always zip the code and actually upload there. Also, there is a very good way using this command, AWS CLI commands. Now, to do that, you need to configure AWS in your local machine. If you are not sure, just go to Google, AWS CLI installation, Ubuntu, Mac, whatever is your machine. You can go, let's go for Mac since I'm a Mac user. Installing, updating, uninstalling. You can follow the instructions here and install this. Okay, it's up to you. I'm not showing the basics again. Revision location. So let's push the codes, and once you push the code, you will see the revision available here. Let's do that. Our first code. Let's open the application. Our application is here. CodeDeploy demo. Its status. Doc changes. Okay, let's clear it and let's make it big so you can see a bit more clear. And we're going to run this command. So we are pushing this revision and linking with this new CodeDeploy application that we created. Let's do this. Okay, I think we should not have this enters. Should be one line like this, and let's try again. Never worry, any error happens. Error happens all the time, don't worry. Oh, not in there, in our local machine where you have the code. Okay, make sure that it's configured. Okay, see this. Okay, see this application now pushed to the S3. Now go to the S3 bucket here and you will see the file here. Here. See app.zip, and there go to versions. You'll see the version and the e tag here. Now let's copy it and if we go here and refresh, you will see the revision will come here. Okay, now we can create deployment, but before that we need our dependencies to install first. We can always do via our this appspec.yml, but I would suggest that the basic dependencies you should install manually or some using some script directly. Okay, so here we need Node.js to run the application because the application itself is Node.js. We use nvm for that. So let's do call this, and let's do this one, wget. Oh, I mean the same thing. Just make sure to run, and you are using Node.js version 12, so let's install the 12 version, v12. And since we are running the commands as root, so let make it that this Node.js should be accessible to root also. Say node -v, it's version 12, and say sudo node -v to make sure that root has also get the same version. Okay, now to manage the app, see, if we run the application normally it will run, but in production level application you have to use some application process managers. So in Node.js we use pm2. Now we'll be installing the pm2 as well. Go here and we'll see the pm2 installation command. Just say sudo npm install pm2 -g. Now it's not a very good practice to use sudo for everything. I will say go with the configure as per the normal user access and do it. But for this demo we'll just go with the root. Okay, so we have the pm2 installed, we have all the dependencies installed. Now is the show time. Let's start. And this is our deployment. It's kind of ready. Let's see. All should work fine. Finger crossed. Okay, let's click on that. But let me show you the group overrides all okay, one at a time. You can always change it. If suppose something bad happens, deployment rollback. But it's the first deployment anyway. So nothing, if something goes wrong, it's okay. Now if you click, see here, after you click the deployment is in progress, and you will see the stages here. You will see application stop done, download bundle done, v4 install done, and all succeed. Wow, it's that quick. See, within few seconds the deployment is done. And how to check the service is running or not? You can just go here and check. See, this is the app. As I did in the before install here, I go to the the normal user directories, and there I'm removing the existing app folder. Just before install state, I'm making app directory. There, after install, when the installation happen, you see this section, files. So in installation stage, from the source bundle app.zip, it will unzip, and the files here, whatever it is, it will come into the Ubuntu app, the folder that I have created before installation step. There, after that, you'll see after installation commands what I'm doing there. After installation command, I'm just installing all the dependencies, because while storing in S3 where you should not ever store the dependencies. Dependencies always change, or maybe need to compile in the target. Suppose I'm in Ubuntu, in a MacBook, while doing all these experimentations, but the application production server could be in Ubuntu, could be in Debian, could be in Fedora, could be anything, I don't know. So thereby that binary could be different. So that should be like in npm instruction and there, and if any binary compilation needed, that will happen directly there. It is common for most application. Just I'm saying that it could be different, it could be same, doesn't matter, but it's always a good practice to do installation directly in the application server. Okay, so before install done, start server. I'm just starting the application and that's it. Now let's see. So let's run curl, and if we run curl localhost 3000, we'll see code deployment sample version 1. Now create version 2 and try to see how the deployment works here. Okay, say deployment, let's see, index, and let's say version 2. So we want to see that version getting updated. Normally you make changes in the code, you deploy it in the production server, you want it very quickly to happen. Let's see how it works. So we are done with the changes, we are committing the code, say version 2 changes. Master. Okay, now we have the command here. Let's push the changes. Now it will create a new revision or a version. So in the new version will come in here in the S3. We will see it here. Let's say it's pushed, shows us refresh the screen. We'll see a new version. So this is the new version. Okay, and that new version you want to deploy in the production applications. What we'll do, we'll go to the applications, we'll click on the application name, then we'll click on the deployment group, and we'll click on the create deployment. And once do that, it will ask for the new revision location. See, these are the new revision added. Search by the what is the new revision using the ID. Now this kind of things will automate in the next tutorials to make a complete CI/CD pipeline. But here I'm showing you very minute, very individually, so you understand what's happening behind the scene before going to the advanced level. So this is the basic level, understand very well. Sometime this I told you right that lifecycle event, it is the event of the previous deployment. Sometime it fails. But if you don't want to fail the deployment because this fails, this event fail, lifecycle event, then click on it. But I'm sure about it's not going to fail for me. If it fails, I can enable it and run again. So content, suppose you have the same content in the existing application from the previous one. I'm deleting before installation step, but you can just mark as override the content. So whatever in previously file we have in the directory, we can override the new one. We can do that. We can retain it or we can fail the deployment. We can say the file is still there, existing files, so it's failing the deployment. We can do as we want. Okay, say rollback. Okay, let's create deployment, and you will see deployment will happen. Just few seconds. Okay, it's updating. Let's click on the view events and see it's just within few seconds application start stage and all done. Within few seconds all the deployment done. And if we go here and in the EC2 server and run curl localhost, you will see it's code deploy version 2. So our deployments is working very fine, no problem at all. Now what if something goes wrong? I mean, it can happen all the time, it can happen, right? Now we want to roll it back to version 1. How can we do it? So go to deployments and you will see the deployments here. Let's say we click on this one. So here you can retry this deployment and it works. And let's see. Success. Okay, let's say something bad happens and we want to go back to the previous deployment. You can always go to the application, then this. I'm just showing you the step by step, and this one. See, retry deployment. You can go back to the previous version. See, something bad happens, you can click this stop and roll back deployment. Let's see. Now it's all done. So now if we do localhost, you'll see version 1. So you can, this is a way, but what I would like to show you that suppose version 2 is happening, let's say deployments, application, code deploy, let's say version 3. Okay, I'm just saying for showing for the example, version 3, and let's say I want to deploy the changes of the version 3. Let's clear all this screen so it will be better for you to understand. Let's call it version 3 changes. Let's say push in master. Okay, and if now try to push in the S3, I mean the application plus S3, of course. Give it a few seconds. Okay, so what is the revision code? The revision ID is, or the version ID is this one. Let's say we're doing it. Go deploy demo Sandeep, application name, then click on the deployment group. Let's say create deployment. And you are saying the revision is this. And you are saying this rollback configuration is okay. Rollback when the deployment fails. Let's say create deployment. See, there we have the option to stop and roll back deployment. If we do that, stop and roll back the deployment. Stop is pending. See, before installation going, it's failed. In that event, what will happen? See, after install is succeed, right? Let's see. Let's find out what will happen. Says version 1. So since I make it the last deployment of version 1, because on version 2 I did deploy the version 1, and this deployment I stopped it and did a rollback. So it, of course, it goes back to the previous last deployed version. And let's say go and suppose there is a retry. Suppose go to the, and this was all good. You want to just retry it. For some reason it failed. It could be anything. You can always go to deployments. And this was your last deploy. See. Okay. And check the revision location also. Now this revision location, check the ID. Is EJ. Let's see here. No, this is not the one that you want to deploy again. We want to deploy the latest version, just for example. And let's see, this is the one. Okay, see, this EJ MB, and in the S3 EJ. We are sure that some problem must happen, and then we fixed it, and then we have to retry the deployment. You can always click on the retry deployment here, and you'll see the stages here. Click on the view events, and all good. The application stop, then download bundle, before install, install, after install, application install, and validation also succeed. Let's see. If you want to curl, and see version 3, right? It all worked fine. So after this, we are all good. And for this session, I think this is it. In next session, we'll go into more advanced level using auto scaling, load balancer, and everything. So subscribe to the channel if you like this video, and also click on the bell notification icon so that when I upload next video, you'll get notified. Okay, thank you.